Right then, guys, welcome back into the Spooky Shed, your go-to place for conversations around all things weird, scary, and of course spooky. We've got a returning guest with us tonight, so we've got JJRose777. JJ, welcome back into the shed. How are we? I'm nice and warm. Thank you for that.
You're so welcome. I'm fabulous and improving.
Happy days, happy days. Right, so I'm just going to dive straight into it because you've already been in here. You've left something in the shed. Annoyingly, I can't remember what it was, but I know it was either whatever you left or peas. I know that for some reason the peas stood out more than what you actually left in here. So yeah,
it was woeful ignorance, and that seems to be clearing itself up a wee bit, don't you think?
Yeah. Yes, that was it. God. Right. So I've been waiting to tell you this for a couple of days. So I've had a new experience, and well, I'm guessing if there's anybody that I know who's going to be able to tell me what it is, was, or God knows what, it's going to be you. So as you can probably imagine, my son Elijah was involved.
Of course.
Probably does not surprise you. So it was 3 nights ago. So I was getting him to sleep. The wife was at work. She was on nights, which was me and him in the house. So just give him his bottle. He was on me. I was in a chair in the corner of the room, getting him to sleep. Pitch dark. And there was this is going to be the problem because I don't know how to explain it, but it was just like a white, almost like a cloud. It was like, it just came in front of me and then it just fucked off, but it moved like a wave. It was really fucking, what the hell is that?
That is an entity or a spirit.
I'm surmising not a bad one.
No one, I mean, your son didn't freak out, right?
No, and neither did I, which was the weird part. I mean, he was asleep, he was sound. But the fact that even I was like extremely calm about it, I was just sat there, I had hold of him, and it was like, when he's asleep, you don't do anything that's going to wake him up. It's like, God forbid, wake him up.
Yep.
But it was really weird. I was just very calm. It was weird. I don't know, which sounds stupid, but the fact that I was so calm also scared me a little bit.
I love how in your head you get about this stuff. So the good thing is you didn't freak out when it happened. That's your first telltale sign that it's not something negative. Because if it's something negative or it means harm, it's gonna, whether it's your stomach clenches or drops, or, you get goosebumps, but not in a good way. Like that, something stalking me in the forest, like our bodies are attuned to things that are threats, whether we understand it or not. So the fact that you were super calm about it. The other thing is, this is the third person this week that has told me they've had something like what you just described. And that's kind of par for the course. I know I've been talking about this, on my channel as well as everywhere for a while now, but we are in the time where these things are coming through because the dimensions are merging, and it's a good thing. It just means that they're going to be a little more apparent. And when they do come through, it's not a bad thing. Sometimes they're just wandering through. Sometimes they're coming with a message. You might not understand the message at the time, but it's registering in your higher self. And when that happens, the information will be made clear to you when the time is right.
Fair enough. It was a cool experience, and I'm glad it's happened. It was just, and the weird thing as well, because at first I described it as a white shadow figure, but that obviously I know that doesn't make sense. Well, it might make sense, but yeah. But as well, whenever I've seen a shadow figure before, it's always out the corner of my eye, usually. Well, pretty much every single time. And most of the time when I hear people talking about shadow figures, it's out the corner of your eye. Whereas this was literally directly in front of me as you are now.
But that's a good thing, because that means growth. That means that, A, they're getting a little more bold, but also that your vision and your mind is allowing you to see them. So I'm really excited for you. I'm also really, really happy that it happened and you didn't freak out. That is huge growth for you.
It is for me, yeah.
Yeah, because I know I rattled your chains a little the last time I was on. So.
Oh yeah, but I liked it. It's like everyone I've spoken to about our previous episode. I've literally said what I said to you. You scared the hell out of me, but in the coolest way possible. But what else was funny that night was, I'm guessing whoever it was, hung around for a bit because I said not long after that, I put Elijah in his cot and he was asleep. Happy days. But normally when he wakes up and he is like crying instantly. And he's only just started like when he wakes up in the night, he'll like sit himself up in his cot. But he's only just started doing that for about a month or so. But that night, whilst I was still awake, he woke up. Was it 3 or 4? At least 3 times. He just woke up and just sat up, didn't cry or anything. Just woke up and sat up and just like looking out of his cot.
He has
So
so
there was
many
something.
gifts.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
I mean,
I
you've spoken to him,
cherished
Stephen.
when
I
I
haven't
got
done
to
it.
come over and I did. Yeah, I cherished that time when I got to come over and chat with him.
Yeah, that still baffles me as well.
Just wait till he starts talking.
He's getting there. He's getting there. Every single animal on the planet is a cat.
Nice.
Yeah, but then that's about as far as we've got.
It's a protective animal,
Oh.
so that makes sense.
Well, we've got 2 of them, so
Well, cat.
yeah, exactly. Right. Well, let's dive into the whole point of this episode then, because you are a woman of many gifts, we'll say.
Yes.
Yeah. And all of which intrigue me, but the one I want to talk to you about tonight is the fact that you are a white witch. So I've had a green witch on the podcast before, and I know there's different types of witches, but I don't actually have a clue what the difference is between them. So that is basically what I would like you to do.
All right. So technically, I
Mm.
am an all elemental, solitary, eclectic white witch. And I know that's
I'm
a
not going to
lot of,
try and say that.
yeah. So there's a test after. So I was going to go through with you and your listeners the witchcraft itself, the different types, and why there's all those words in
Mhm.
and what you would call me in specific. So the first thing to understand is that the word witch itself is a non-gender term. A lot of
Mm.
people think, oh, witch, and they think female, but it's not. It's a non-gender term. It actually comes from wiki, WICCE. I'm probably totally butchering that, but it's Old English. That was the female term. And then Wicca, which was the male term for like sorcerer, basically.
Right.
So, that being said, it is a non gender term. It's basically someone who uses and knows their own power to enact, help, cajole something, situation, or manipulate using magic. And magic
Right.
is another term for your own inner power. So you have 2 camps of witches, right? So you have coven witches. So they're part of a coven, or what people would say is a group of people. Not every coven has the same number of people. There are some covens that will limit to a specific amount. There are some covens that are huge. And then you have solitary. So I'm solitary. I don't work specifically with a coven. I have what I would like loosely call a coven, but it's basically more just friends who are also pretty much solitary, and then occasionally we'll do stuff together. But so that's one of the first things. Covens can range anywhere from 3 people on up. I have known some, depending on the path that they follow, that they will limit the coven itself to, let's say, 13 witches. But there are other people who are like the keeper of the witches, and that gets a little complicated because it depends on what path they're on.
Mm.
As to path, yeah, this gets real dicey. So, as to paths, a lot of people think you're a witch, so you're Wiccan. No, Wicca is a religion. Okay.
Right.
So there are religious witches. There are actually Christian witches. I know that not everyone understands that, but it's a thing. There are traditional witches. These would be the ones that follow strict traditions from wherever they hearken from. Right.
Right.
So if it's from the UK area, they would follow like the Celtic or the Druidic. If they're from Africa, they would be following whatever their native line would be for witchcraft. And then you have, herbal witches, you have kitchen witches that literally just do witchcraft in the kitchen, right? Like if you were a witch being that you work with food a lot, you would be a
Yeah.
kitchen witch if you wanted to, which by the end of this, you might. Green witches, they're basically people who work a lot with plants. And then you have blends, right? So these are what I would call their paths, but they are not strict traditional because they don't come from a straight line native tradition. So like voodoo. Voodoo is actually a blend of a couple different places and an amalgamation, which is also a religion, but also there are voodoo witches. Then you have Santeria, which is also a blend of multiple different places. Um, and then you have someone like me who's eclectic, where I use anything and everything from any path that I need to at the time. Traditional witches or witches who follow a very strict path, some of them will say you'll hear the term closed path, meaning you can only participate in this if you are a direct descendant or part of that bloodline, right?
Right.
I don't believe in that because
Mm.
in the before time when the world before the world we know now existed, we were all one and there were no closed
Mm.
paths. People basically got spread out over places and then their magic morphed and twisted to adapt to wherever they ended up living at the time, right? So
Yeah, yeah.
if you live in the desert, for instance, your magic's going to be very different than if you live in the rainforest, right?
Yeah.
So for me, I don't see any path as being closed because if I need it, it's a tool and it's all the same. And I understand that that can get very dicey for some people and people have very strong beliefs on it and that's fine. It's just not my belief. And the other thing about witchcraft really is which is a little sad, but I'm on my pulpit right now, so why not? Is there's so much of this gatekeeping and a lot of people deconstructed from religion but they
Mm.
still bring those rules over to spirituality and witchcraft. And that's where the heads start locking, right? Where you get this, no, this is a closed practice. Well,
Yeah.
for you, it might be. And I understand maybe you don't want people outside of your heritage working with you, and that's fine. But that doesn't necessarily mean it's closed to everyone.
Mm.
So, and the other thing with myself is it's very difficult because I'm such a mutt, meaning, my heritage is from pretty much everywhere, that I've had deities and I've worked paths that, to look at me, people would be probably like, why would you do that? And how can you do that? And why would they even work with you? You're not from there. Well, technically, I am. So
Yeah.
again, looks can be very deceiving. Don't look at someone and just assume they may or may not be working with something because you think they're not from there. You
Mhm.
know, hair dye and contacts and makeup can change a person a lot. I do not wear contacts, by the way, but I definitely use hair dye and makeup, so not shy about that. These roots don't die themselves. So then you have the type of magic that one would practice. So if you think of light spectrum, right? So you have white light and then black. And then there's everything in between, right? Of all the colors. So I practice white
Yeah, yeah.
magic. Technically, what that means is I will not do anything without anyone's consent, and I do not do
Mhm.
anything that is going to hurt somebody. So, my intent with my magic is to help as many people as possible and do it in the highest good. Now, someone
Yeah.
who practices black magic, right, which is the opposite of what I do, that's going to be very intentional and they don't mind hurting people. They don't mind who gets in the way. This is, all the curses and things like that that you'll hear about. And then there's gray witches, which to be honest, the majority of people who are witches end up at one point becoming gray or
Mm.
as they age, sometimes will go in the gray. And that basically means that they do a little bit of both. They do helpful
Yeah.
stuff, but they won't mind, throwing a curse or a hex up there depending. Now, again, I'm older. I'm very old school. I was trained by much older people, so I don't really ascribe to a lot of the terms that the current day people talk about. But back in my day, there was red witches. And what that
Right.
meant was these were witches who only practiced magic when they were angry. So they would channel that anger into their magic for whatever purposes they were doing. And then you had blue witches. Sounds like a gang, but the blue witches basically would use their sadness in order to channel through their magic to do
Right.
whatever. And in those extreme emotions, that's when they would be the best conduit for the magic that they were trying to enact. Does that make sense so far?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Surprisingly, it does. Yeah.
Good. All right. And then we have the elements, right? So most witches, most people even will identify or work with a specific element better than others. So you'll have, obviously you have the elements. You have earth, air, fire, water, and then whether it's metal or space, universe, which depending on, Chinese or Western, those two kind of bleed into the same. So
Right.
usually, the typical witch will kind of find their niche and they'll work with one specific element over the others. It's not that they don't use the others, it's just one is kind of their primary modality, which is where you get into like the kitchen witch, right? Because they use food and food
Mm.
comes from the earth. So therefore, they would be considered an earth elemental worker.
Right.
Whereas you might have someone who works with birds or weather, they would be more of an air witch. And then, of course, fire's kind of standard, makes sense. And then water, the same. They would work with the
Mm.
ocean or streams or water itself. And then with the metal in space, honestly, in my years, I haven't met anyone who works primarily and predominantly with just that, but that's a type of witchcraft. I'm not saying they don't exist. I'm just saying I personally am not able to think of one that's their predominant one. And then you have someone like me who works with all of them, which is fairly rare because I have the ability to use all of them wisely and easily.
Right.
You
Fair
with
enough.
me so far?
I mean, yeah. I mean, I was just gonna say. I mean, from knowing you as well as I do, that doesn't surprise me.
um, so witchcraft itself can go from very small, mundane things to very large things. One of the larger ones, a lot of people don't know this story. I know I talked about it on Tommy's show, Let's Get Freaky, but there was actually a time during World War II where an entire band of witches, like they just called them from all over the country, got together and did a huge ceremony out in the forest. And all of the Nazi ships that were about to invade that literally would have taken over were
Mm.
all lost in a storm.
That's a
And
shame.
is it
That was sarcasm. If anybody didn't get that, by the
okay?
way.
Yeah. So that would be something where you would have, coven and solitaries coming together for a very common purpose to do something very large, right? So
Yeah, makes
basically
sense.
they all back in the day, put the word out. Actually, it was government sanctioned. The government actually paid stipends to everyone who showed up and worked on this. A lot of people don't know that. But it worked
That's
and
it.
it was
That seems
huge.
mental.
No,
I don't
it's
know.
not.
I don't know why
They have been using
that
people
just seems
like us.
really bizarre, especially not knowing what governments are like, especially nowadays. Like fucking hell. Like I said, like, World War II was a decent amount of time ago, but it's not like it was hundreds and hundreds of years ago. Imagine the government doing that now.
They do.
So why the hell don't we know about it then?
Well, I mean, things are getting disclosed all the time. Your country has disclosed lots of different stuff. It's all being put under the genre of, remote viewing or astral traveling or
Mm,
so something that the Nazis did. What they would do is during World War II, they were instructed he basically they had spotters who were able to spot people with abilities and
mm,
they would put them in rooms with maps, okay, on the wall, big maps, and they would say we need you to focus on this area because that's where they were going to invade next or where they wanted to take over. And these people would literally sit there and put their intentions on opening up a path in order to conquer that area. And a lot of that was in World War II. A lot of people don't realize how much magic and spiritual occult stuff was happening during World War II and the prelude before, because like Hitler didn't come out of nowhere, I
mm.
mean, that man just rose up all on his lonesome. And we have the Indiana Jones movies, right? So everyone thinks, oh, he was into the occult and all this ancient stuff. Yeah, he was, which means he recognized, which is why he rounded up a lot of they called them back in those days, the gypsies. And a lot of them, if they wouldn't comply, were offed. But there were also a lot of witches that he rounded up as well. And
Mm.
what they called back then gypsies, which were a type of witch, basically. And he would employ them to work. And so they started getting smart and they said, okay, yeah, we'll work for you. And they were doing subterfuge. So they would say they were working for him, make it look like they were doing something good, and then immediately like having the other forces come in and take over. So kind of setting them up in a way, which was great. I mean,
Yeah.
history is wild. I'm just saying, history is wild. Back in older wars in 1800s, there were always people like me who were employee of the government and for battle strategy, as well as where to place the troops. They had people who would scry. They would, sit over a map and they would look and say, okay, go this direction. And there's different type of scrying that one can do. Don't recommend scrying at night unless you want some real fun stuff to happen, but whatever.
I
Do you-
tried doing that recently.
Did you? How did it go?
Well, you've seen the picture where my eyes look funny. I sent you the picture, didn't I?
Uh-huh.
Not. It was well. I mean, we're going a little bit off topic here, but I don't know whether it. Well, it probably was just in my head. But when I was doing it, like visually, not a lot, but like my top half was on fire, my legs were freezing, and then after about getting off for 10 minutes, like I said, of just fully staring at myself in a mirror, I am 99% sure that my eyes like looked to the right, but I didn't do it,
Yeah.
and then
So
I bailed.
that makes sense. So they're scrying by staring in a mirror. They're scrying, staring in a mirror with water. They're scrying, staring in a mirror with water and fire. A lot of
Mm.
what Nostradamus did was using that method. There's also blood scrying, which is actually what old prospectors used to use as a form of blood scrying. So they would take a map out and then they would drip their blood, and then the blood would actually coagulate and then move and show them the path to whatever it was that they were trying to do. Another, and they're currently used today are water diviners, the
Mm.
people who find the water for the wells.
Yeah.
That's an old form of magic, and that's
Mm.
very heritage lineage passed down.
Well, that's like dowsing rods as well, isn't it? Don't they do a similar thing? That's just that's one of many things I don't understand. Like, I don't get that.
I mean, and so with some of the dowsing rods, like some of the videos you'll see online now, where people have
Mm.
the two copper rods and then they move right when they ask the
Mm.
questions. The issue I have with those is not enough people have been thoroughly trained to fully empty out their
Right.
mind and themselves. So the way I was taught with that was it was supposed to be two people. So there would be the clear channel, right, who's holding the rods, and there would be
Mhm.
another person either asking the questions in their head or reading the questions and then watching what the rods did. So the person who's the clear channel holding the actual rods doesn't
Mm.
know the answer, doesn't know the question. So there's nothing in their head that's like minorly moving those rods, right? Because, oh,
Yeah.
well, in my mind, this would be so. The same way with the Ouija board. Ouija boards, it's very easy to say, oh, well, so and so moved the planchette or whatever, and everyone's saying, I didn't do it. But there are
Mm.
micro expressions that happen. Again, if you're able to be fully clear and everyone else is also fully clear, like that is a tool that can be used. I'm one of the
Mhm.
rare ones where I'm not against using a Ouija board as long as you know how to properly protect yourself, protect the space, as well as you set proper intentions and you always say goodbye.
Yeah.
Lots of people like to
I've
get
never
up,
done
run, and
one.
scream and not say goodbye.
I mean, I've never done a Ouija. Well, not properly. I mean, I remember one time when we were kids, we messed around and like just roll the alphabet on some paper and stuck it around the table, that sort of shit. But I've never done one properly, and I don't know if to.
I see that maybe in your future.
Mainly because I'm dyslexic, so spelling's gonna be a bitch.
But you have to do it with other people, silly. Have someone else write down the letters.
I say, well, as long as I don't have that job, then I might have a go.
Watch, you're going to channel the one spirit who's also dyslexic, and you're going to be the only one who can divine the message.
Everyone else is like,
love
this is
that.
just nonsense. I'm like, no, it makes perfect sense.
No, this what they mean. I love that for you. When that moment happens, please call me. I don't care what time it
It's like
is.
a
I want to
really,
be woken up with that.
it's like a really, really bad horror movie there somehow, isn't there?
I think that would work though.
It's
Oh my
like
gosh.
evil dyslexic spirits, and then I'm the only one that can save everybody because I'm the only one as well who can understand what they're trying to say.
Exactly. Exactly.
I'm going to make that happen.
Dyslexia for the win. So, okay. So, any questions so far as to all the stuff that I just threw at you?
Well, lots. Well, right. So, what? My main thing is, can you give me an example then of some sort of witchcraft that you would do or have done, and why? Because that's something that I don't under. Like I say, I don't know actually any of the reasons.
Okay. So, you don't get the why.
Mm.
Okay.
Or even the
So,
what.
let's start with, well, there's a lot. So, let's start with little things that people can do, and then I'll graduate to
Mm.
the bigger things. So you're making tea or coffee or any kind of beverage, right? That you have to stir.
Mhm.
If you want to stir in something, you stir it clockwise.
Right.
So typically when people are grieving, right? Everyone wants to like put a warm cup of something in their hand, right? So for me, if someone were over and grieving, I would be stirring in comfort clockwise as I'm making that beverage for them, right? So as they drink it, that magic of comfort is going into them. Now, contradictory, if you want to stir out something from someone. So let's say someone's being really hateful and you need them to just like take it down 12 notches. You would counterclockwise stir out that anger. So when they drink the drink, that anger just dissipates. I have no
Fair
clue what
enough.
word I was about to use right there, but it sounded like it was going to be a swear word, and that was weird. So there's smudging, right? This is burning sage or burning dragon's blood, things of that nature. Now, I thought everyone knew this information. I was absolutely shocked to find out that everyone understood when you're saging or smudging, whether it's Palo Santo, whether it's sage, dragon's blood, whatever, you always have doors and windows open. And this isn't just a safety thing of like, you don't want it to look like Cheech and Chong in your house. This is literally so that you're giving the energy and the entities a place to go, right?
No, but like,
So if you don't have doors and windows open, you just riled whatever it is up. And now it's pissed off and running around like the Tasmanian devil in the middle of your house.
yeah, but like that make. I mean, like, even to me, that makes like perfect sense. I've never had to do any sort of saging or anything, but like I said, apart from the fact of like hotboxing yourself, that makes sense because you're trying to get rid of something, so you need to give it somewhere to go. That makes perfect sense.
Yes. Yes.
Like,
I did not know that people did not understand this. I heard from far too many people like, wow, that was the first time I've ever heard that. And I said, what do you mean the first time? Dear, no wonder I've been in demand. That's not a good thing. Yeah. If I'm in demand, that's an issue. That means all you know what's bursting loose. So a lot of people don't understand though, is to the contrary, when you're burning incense, most of the time when you're burning incense, that is an invitation to spirits and entities to arrive. So I want you
right.
to think of churches, right? A lot of
Mhm.
churches will burn incense. They're burning that in order to invite the deity to come or the entity to come or the spirits to come. So I personally don't burn incense much. There
Mm.
is a very specific type of incense that I will burn on occasion. And it's usually during, like, if I'm doing something specific that I'm asking for help with, I will do it. And I only really do it outside. I think I've incensed in my house probably like 5 times in my whole life.
Fair enough. I was going to make a really
Yeah,
terrible joke then.
please do.
No, it's fine. It's not worth it.
Damn it.
I was just going to say, so
So
you're more outsense than incense then.
I love it. Yes. It's
But
very
that
hard to
no, I need these
me.
jokes.
Nice. So there's simple things like making moon water, right? So if it's a new moon or a full moon, whatever your intention is, you basically
Mm.
just set out water outside and let the
Right.
moons glow at it. So new moon is when we manifest, right?
Right.
Because it's new. So that's when you're going to be using that water to manifest something, to make something happen, the
Mm-hmm.
start of something. And like if you're planting crops, the old farmer almanacs were very big on the moon phases because you always would plant your crops on the night of the full moon. Not a lot of people remember that anymore. The full moon, on the other aspect, it's full. It needs to release. So if you want to release things, you would do that during a full moon, and the moon water from a full moon would be to release. So let's say something very, very small. Let's say you get bloated a lot or you eat a lot of salt and you want to de-bloat using magic. You would drink that full moon water and that would help you get that excess water out of your system because it's assisting you in releasing.
Fair enough. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, right? Whereas if you want to make something happen in your house, you would use new moon water.
Right.
Okay. So easy peasy so far, right? I haven't completely
Yeah.
lost everyone at this point. That's good. So then more complicated stuff would be you're trying to manifest a new job or a career or clarity.
Right.
So with the magic that I do, right? So I'm not going to set my sights on anything specific because I need to give the universe room to do its job. And
Mm-hmm.
I have an entire episode on manifestation because I think one of the things a lot of people get wrong is they just think they want something, they go to manifest it without thinking it through. And also, you need to be cautious of how you're asking for something to manifest. I have a great story about that. My cousin really wanted this new car. He had this big old boat of a car and he wanted a new Mini Cooper. And he kept saying, you know what, universe, I want my Mini Cooper and I want it now. And I don't care how I get it. Just make it happen because he was in a mood. So one night he's in his big old boat of a car in a shopping center parking lot. It's like 9 or 10 at night where, there's not a ton of people around. And it's
Mm-hmm.
a shopping parking lot. So it's not a big, vast place. And this car comes out of nowhere going 45 miles an hour and T-bones him, literally totaling his car. And of course, he used that insurance payment for the down payment of his new Mini Cooper, which we helped manifest. That made absolutely no sense. When we walked out, the salespeople offered me the job and then they literally fired the guy who sold the car on the spot. And yeah. And the finance guy. My cousin ended up getting like the lowest interest rate loan, and he was only working like 3 hours a week. The whole situation made no sense. It was insane.
Yeah.
But it was him saying, I want this no matter how it happens. So it was a little chaotic how it occurred. The other thing, speaking of chaos, so I am not a. I'm very Virgo, okay? I don't like chaos. I like everything to be neat, pristine, in its place. I'm very thorough. I think everything through, right? I do a lot of prep work in order to make sure everything's going to go smooth sailing. So for me, if I'm going to do any magic or if I'm going to be doing spell work, I am always checking when the moon is void of course. And you can literally Google it, when is the moon void of course, and it will come up with the dates. When the moon is void of course is any magic done or energy work done during that time period is going to be chaotic.
Right.
Okay, extreme chaos.
Mm-hmm.
Because, yeah. So my ex loved chaos. I do not. So we had a differing of opinions. So we had a friend over and she needed to do something very specific and we were going to help her with it. And so we're trying to get this done and he's lollygagging and she's, I don't know, squirrel. I'm trying to get everyone outside to do this. I mean, it would take 5 minutes and they both come out and they're like, now. And so we do it. And I didn't look at the time because I was trying to avoid the moon was going to go void of course. We ended up doing it exactly when the moon went void of course. And it took 5 minutes, which is, the moon, when the moon's void of course, it doesn't stay that way too long. So we end up doing this. Well, they both love chaos magic. So the ex, what happens for him is the most chaotic, rambling bunch of series of events, but he gets exactly what he wants. Her, again, same thing, most chaotic, but like she loves it. Mine was super chaotic for me. It was like a roller coaster ride that I didn't sign up for. I wanted to be on the little kid train that went straight, and it took me on a roller coaster, and I was like, this is not fun. I want off. And it ended up manifesting, but in the most chaotic way possible. So it was not enjoyable for me.
Yeah, I can imagine.
So that being said, figure out those things do matter. And sometimes you're just in the moment and something needs to happen and it's supposed to come out chaotic because that's the only way that the universe can fully manifest it for you. And also there's some people who really love chaos. I'm not one of them. So that for me was not fun, but for everyone else, I guess they had a great time, but that's fine. So that being said, when you're going to manifest something, think it through. If it's a new job, or let's say you have a job now and you want to switch careers, but you're not quite sure what career you want, right? But you just want something different than you have. So if that were me, I would be asking, hey, universe, not hey, but there's respect. But I would basically be doing spell work to say, can you help bring to fruition something that would, all the things that I want, right? I want it to be impacting. I want it to help people. I want it to feed my soul. I don't want it to drain every ounce of life from me at the end of the day. May it pay well, the benefits be great, on and on. So like really think through, but leave it open-ended enough that the universe can come in and do its magic for you. I years ago remember this woman, and she came in and she said, well, I'm manifesting and I want this corner office looking this direction with this color couch. And I want this car, this year, make and model, this color. The interior is going to look like this. This girl had it detailed, right? Which, first of all, great. I'm really glad you've thought it through that much. But it was so tight that the universe had no room to work any magic, because if she didn't get exactly what she wanted, she was going to be mad. And the universe can only do so much, right? It can work miracles, but also kind of interesting that you want a job that pays you $1 million a year when, you barely graduated high school.
It's
Which
really weird.
happened. So.
It's just funny because I've been sat here smiling to myself just because the probably isn't coincidence, especially as I'm talking to you, that you've chosen looking for a new job as your example for that.
Yeah.
Fucking sick of my job now.
Someone like myself, I am able to work magic on behalf of other people, but again, it has to align with what I do, right? And I've told people, hey, I understand and respect what you want, but I'm not the type of person for you. What you want is more of a gray witch or, black magic witch, or something else more specific that maybe I'm not interested in or isn't in my wheelhouse. I'm very firm on what it is and what I will and will not do. So I make sprays, right? So obviously I can come over and I can clear things and do all of that. But there are people who absolutely refuse to do any personal protection measures whatsoever. Or there are some people that we know in common, who they're paranormal investigators and they have what I call leaky valves on their team, meaning people who don't do proper protections themselves, and that stuff can leak through and get to us, especially the more sensitive that we are. So for them, I've made sprays. And so I have a negativity be gone spray, which I basically have lovingly dubbed "Oh Hell Nah" spray because it's, oh no, you're not in my house. I say it's like spraying oh my God, what is the word that I need?
A repellent.
No, it's the big fire gun. What do you call that? Flamethrower. Oh my Lord, words. Okay, it's like taking a flamethrower to an ant. I love how that was the word I got stuck on. I'm the fire starter.
I was not expecting flamethrower.
Yeah, so there's that. The other one that I made is Clear the Way Manifest spray. So basically, I hear from a lot of people, I've been trying so hard to manifest this. It's just not working. And the spray basically is a very simple way to help clear out whatever is standing in the way of whatever it is that you're trying to manifest. And then I
Hmm.
have a happy home threshold powder that I make, which is very easy. You just put it right under your mat and it helps kind of control the chaos and the emotional energy of the home. And it lasts for 3 to 6 months, depending. It can last more if there's less,
Right.
insanity in your neighborhood, but or in the house itself. But,
Yeah.
things like that. So you can make things that you wear. If you're going to make your own jewelry, or there are little fake tattoos. Okay. Don't judge me, first of all. I know there's a lot of you that are brave enough to go get tattoos. I am not one of them. Not because I'm scared, because I don't want any identifying marks on my body like that forever. So I get these fake tattoos from Amazon. I no judgment. Like, all my friends pretty much have tattoos. I'm the one weirdo who doesn't. But so I get these
I'm
fake
the weirdo
tattoos
that
from
likes
Amazon.
getting them.
You know what? I've heard it's a thing. Everyone I know who gets a lot of them is like they're addicting. So, and my friend's getting her sleeve done right now. So it's a lot. Every time she shows up, I'm like, "Oh, you're colorful." But that being said, so I take these fake tattoos, and then when I'm doing specific work, I will put them on because
Mhm.
they're kind of like a booster, if you will, for the work that I'm doing.
Yeah, yeah, like you say, that makes sense. It'd be daft to get something permanent then if you're only needing it
Yeah.
for whatever you're doing at the time.
And, it would be this akin to you wearing a sigil or you
Mm.
getting a necklace with a sigil on it,
Yeah,
except I only need it temporarily, right? They
yeah,
last
exactly.
3 days to like a week and a half, depending. And so there are things like that that you can do. There are temporary tattoo markers that you can get, that you can do
Mhm,
that stuff too. And you can put them in hidden areas. So, being a woman, if I was talking to another female who was going to go into an area, let's say that was a little bit dangerous, that she was worried for her physical well being, I would say, okay, well, let's put it in an area of your body that no one's going to see, like, at all. So you're going to hide that. And it can be really, really tiny,
mhm.
depending on what it is that you're going to do. I've known people who do sex work. Well, you got to be really careful, right? Because most of their body
Yeah.
is exposed, but they started doing it within their hairline and their scalp,
Mm.
because who's going to look there? So there
Yeah, exactly.
are interesting little ways. And especially because, they're not able to do jewelry, right, with what they do.
Mhm.
So there are little workaround ways that you can do things to protect yourself. And protection really is key. And I know I harp on this a lot, but I would say the second biggest question that I get is, why aren't my gifts coming in? Or I'm working so hard to develop this, that, and the other gift. And like, I'm getting no movement. Why? And the answer isn't you're not working hard enough. The answer typically is you're not doing any protections.
Nice.
For your gifts to properly manifest and come through, you have to have some sort of protections in place. This is the reason why a lot of people will send their kids when they're very little to self defense classes or karate or taekwondo or the other modalities. Because not only does it build an inner confidence, right? So as they grow and they get bullied, they already know they could take that bully out. So they're going to react a lot differently,
Mhm.
right? So someone like me who knows protections, if I have, a really nasty negative entity pop up in my face, I'm not running and screaming and running out of the house. I am standing there and facing it because I'm protected. Anyone else who isn't protected is running and screaming out of the house, but I know how to protect and how to defend myself. The other thing, and there are witches who work with entities or who will strike deals, and they are devotees of specific entities. And that's fine, right? Like, that's who they work with. I don't entity worship and I don't make deals. If one of them show up, and they do a lot sometimes, I will say, "What's your purpose? What are you here for?" And basically, it's either we're going to agree to work on it together, but there's no long term deal. But there are people who do work with deities and entities. For them, especially if they're newer into this, I would just advise, make sure that you fully comprehend and understand everything that you're agreeing to. for whatever it is that the work that you're going to be doing. Because there are some deities and entities that require certain things that people don't realize down the line how much energy or time or whatever it is going to need to be given in order to keep that favor. And that
Mm.
means anything that they worked on to gain with that entity, if they don't hold up their end of the bargain, it all gets stripped away pretty nastily. And if any of you have ever read the Bible and you've looked at the book of Job, you would understand what I mean. Like,
Yeah.
okay, God and the devil basically make a bet, and then he strips Job of everything, like down to the man practically being dead, and then all
Mm.
of a sudden gives him everything back and more.
Yeah, that just doesn't sound worth it.
Well, again, this is why I don't make deals or deity worship.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
It just it sounds like too much hassle.
But
Yeah.
I'm the same way in life too, right? Like I
Yeah.
and this is also part of the reason why I'm a solitary practitioner, but I am a very solitary person in life. Like I
Right.
enjoy being alone. I have loads of friends. I love people, if I'm around people, I'm very much a people person. But if there's a task to be done, I can work in a team, but usually
Mhm.
more if I'm like in control or in the lead and I have full faith in the other people that are also doing the work. If it's like like my nightmare is one of those conventions where you have to work with a whole bunch of random people you've never met before and like do a task, I will lose my mind.
Yeah. That's what
Not
I'm
for
gonna
me.
have to do on Wednesday.
Mm,
Mm.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah, I'm not looking forward to it. It's gonna be shit.
Well, you know what? Let's put good juju on it that people surprise you on how they're able to step up.
Yeah, we'll do that, but I won't get my hopes up.
Yeah.
Mm.
Prepare for the worst, hope for the best, right?
Exactly. That's why I've always said, expect the worst, and then you're never disappointed.
It is true. But it is, that leads me into another part, which is expectations. There are a
Mm.
lot of people who will try to do spell work and they have these grand expectations and then they're always disappointed,
Mm.
right? Because nothing is up to par. So the way that I've always been taught was you set it and then you forget it and let the universe do its magic. The other
Right.
thing is when you do spell work, depending on the grandness of it or how it, especially when it comes to work that's very personal, right? Like self work for ourselves. Once you enact it, you don't talk about it or think about it at all for 3 days. And you're very choosy thereafter with who you talk about it with. And the reason for that is there are a lot of people, unfortunately, who don't have other people's best interest at heart. And God forbid you tell someone who you think is your friend, but in reality, they're always like a little jealous of you or a little
Mm.
envious or a little like they always want to knock you down a peg and you tell them and then they put their energy into what you just did and it's just going to deflate it, right?
Yeah.
So don't share too much of what you're doing unless it's with a trusted person.
Yeah, I mean, that's just, like, good life advice.
Yeah. I'm full of that in
So
all the aspects, whether it's witchcraft or just
life in general. So when we're talking about spell work and stuff, so because that's one of the things that really intrigues me because like literally in my head I've got like like in like Disney films, like reading things from a book and everything and casting spells like that sort of stuff. So when you're on about spell work, how do you mean?
So spell work can be something very, very small where you're just putting your
Mm,
intent behind it, right? Like when I
right,
gave the example about stirring clockwise or counterclockwise,
right,
it can work itself up to very large things. So I want you to think the more grandiose, the larger whatever it is you're trying to do, the more energy needs to be behind it.
yeah,
There was a time when I was doing spell work where I needed the ambiance. I needed the altar lit. I needed to call in the four corners. I needed to be in my white specific gown. I needed all the elements in front of me and do the whole thing, right? And then I would sit with it and have the candles going, like, the whole ambiance, right? Over time, I realized I don't need all of that. It's probably been a very long time since I've done that. Like, unless I'm making actually, even when I'm doing the sprays, I mean, I have that stuff out, but like I'm not sitting in the middle of the room, like the craft or something. But I'm doing it differently. But, again,
Mm.
I've also been doing this a very long time. And as a result of doing it for so long, I don't really need all the theater. I do think if there was something major that I was working on, like let's say I was doing something like for the world, like something big, big,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, I think I would probably, bust out some of those tools in order to have that. Or if I'm doing something with a group, because it helps focus the mind, it helps kind of focus the energy. But
Mm.
it really depends for each person.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah, I mean that does make a bit more sense. Like I said, literally all I could like see in my head when I think about spells and stuff is, like I say, the typical stereotypical thing that you see in movies and shit.
I mean, I definitely recommend if you're starting out with spell work that you have something written down, right? For what it is that
Mm.
you're trying to work on, manifest, change, etc. And that's for two reasons. A, so that it's very clear and concise with what it is that you're working on, but also to save it and look back on it later
Mm.
and be able to say, okay, I was too specific here, not specific enough here. And isn't this cool the way that the universe came to my aid and like made this happen? My dad had been having me do this since I was a wee little teenager. He would always say, okay, if you wanted a boyfriend, right, you need to write down all the qualities that you want, but then you also have to write down the qualities that you have that would earn or deserve someone of that caliber. Well, I've been saving these since I was a teenager because I have one specific place. And I am not joking because it would take me a while to come up with the list, right? Because again, I'm overthinking it, I'm making sure I'm very thorough. And back in the day, I would get real specific on certain
Mhm.
things, but then other things leave them kind of general and broad. And I started learning lessons because every relationship that would pop up right after, when that relationship would either be midway or would end, I would go back and read what I had manifested. And I'm like, whoa, okay, I needed to be a lot more clear on this and maybe like less clear on that. And my last one that I did, I went back and I read it and I just started laughing because I thought I missed one word I missed. And it would have
Right.
changed everything
So
about the dynamic and the
it's a
whole thing.
bit like,
So be clear.
yeah. So it's a bit to put it in ways that will make sense to me at the minute. So it's a bit like coming up with like a recipe for something then, in a
Mhm.
way. Yeah.
But like baking. Okay.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yes. Yeah. And I say
Mm.
baking because cooking, you and I could cook the same thing, right? And we could use
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
same tools and the same everything, but it's going to be
Mhm.
just slightly different. But
Yeah.
baking is science,
Mhm.
right? You have to be
Yeah.
exact. If you use half the amount of baking powder than you should, you're either going to get no
Mhm.
rise or, hockey pucks.
Exactly.
I would say think of it like baking. And let me come back on the love thing real quick. So first of all, no love spells. That is my highest recommendation. Never start a marriage off with a kidnapping.
Yeah, again, good life advice again.
Again, right? And, part of this too, I think is, being over 30 and 40 really, really helps because there's just a part of you that I don't care anymore. I was thinking about this the other day myself. I was like, oh God, like what if I had to date again? Like what would that be like? The
I
whole
couldn't be arsed with it.
everyone, yeah, the whole everyone's like coming pretending to be something that they're not. And
Mhm.
then, a month or two into it, you find out they're really like that. And so I started thinking, I was like,
Mhm.
well, okay, God forbid if I ever had to do that again, I think I would be one of those really blunt people where like, first things first, like, hey, here are my negatives. I'm just going to put these on the table. These are part of me. So if these are deal breakers for you, please walk now before I
Yeah.
even like start to like you.
Yeah.
But also think about that with your magic. If you are not being sincere and true with yourself, with who you are and what it is that you want, if you think, quote unquote, that you want something because other people are telling you that you should, right? Like
Mhm.
we get a lot from social media, we get a lot from the world telling us, oh, marriage is supposed to look this way, or your life is supposed to look this way. We're all supposed to
Right.
have a house on a hill with a white picket fence, 2.5 kids, a minivan, a sports car, a job, that makes you a ton of money. You get to go on vacation 8 times a year. The reality is that that isn't happening for everyone. No, is it because everyone's manifesting wrong? No, absolutely not. Actually, some people are manifesting a little too well, if you ask me. But again, I'm going
Yeah,
to tread very lightly on that.
but
But
that's
that
like
being said,
with
what works for you?
yeah. But like with me, I was like I say before I met obviously came my wife and we had Elijah and got married and everything. I was one of them people where I wasn't. I mean, like I say, obviously I'm married and have a kid now, so I wasn't against that, but also I would have been more than happy just doing my own thing. Like if none of that happened, I'd have still been fine. I wasn't sat in the house on my own crying until they came along. I was more than fine. Exactly. So and now I've got that.
Yeah,
Now I've
and
got that. It's still just as good. It's just different.
it's being honest with yourself. And a lot
Hmm.
of people aren't. I
Mm,
have people who constantly come to me like, oh, why haven't I found the love of my life? I'm like, because you don't want one. Like, what do you
yeah.
mean? I want this, I want that, and I want the other. And I said, well, first of all, that doesn't fit into your life at all. What would you even do
Hmm.
with a person like that? You want someone who's super fit and goes to the gym every day, but not to be rude, but like, you've never eaten a salad in your life and you haven't gotten off the couch in 5 years. So why would
Yeah.
a gym rat be like, what are you even going to do together at that point?
Yeah.
You have nothing in common. So the reason I bring this up is because a lot of times people will do not a direct love spell for a specific person, but they'll do like something general, like what I did. Okay, well, may I attract someone with these qualities when the time is right? And I don't know anybody that I'm interested at the time when I would do these. And I
Hmm.
would always end up with almost exactly what I asked for. And like I said, in the last one, when I went back and reread, I missed one word. One
Mm.
word made we're talking an avalanche of a difference if I had just remembered that one word. So, and
Can I ask what
also
the word was?
understanding yourself, you're going to not.
Oh, fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair
Yeah.
enough.
So that being said, knowing yourself is also a really big part of witchcraft as well as spirituality and just good life advice. So, am I
Mm.
asking everyone listening to this to be a witch? Absolutely not. If it doesn't call to you, please don't do it. If you want to, research about it, great, fine. But I'm not recruiting. We don't recruit, okay? We're not like that. That being said, knowing yourself and being really, really honest is important because if you're trying to manifest something just because you think this is what you're supposed to be or do or have, it's not authentic to you. And the universe got jokes, first of all. The universe is going to do one of two things. A, it's going to give it to you in the most miserable way possible for you to get the lesson that it's not for you. Like, hey,
Mm.
you keep wanting to look like, an Instagram influencer and you're not comfortable with any attention. So stop it.
Yeah.
Or it's going to do the opposite where it's going to keep denying you and it's going to keep throwing up brick walls. And if you're very, very stubborn, those brick walls are going to get harder and harder every time you keep trying to manifest the thing that isn't for you. And typically that's when people will reach out to me and be like, hey, I've been working on this forever and it's not happening. And when we start peeling away the layers, and I'm like, it's not happening because the universe knows that this isn't good for you. And also, it wouldn't be fair to drag someone else through this. Just like you were
Yeah.
saying earlier, right? Like before you found your wife and life happened for you, you would have been fine being on your own. There's a lot of people
Mhm.
out there who are absolutely happy and fine being on their own. They don't really want a partner. They
Yeah.
think they do because that's what society's telling them. And
Mhm.
so they half-ass go on these dating apps, and all they're doing is creating mayhem because they're not really interested. But there are other people out there who are really interested and they're attracted to them because they're
Yeah.
manifesting, I want someone to come into my life. But then in essence, you're spreading bad karma because you're dragging other people through emotional torment when you already know you really don't want this. So why do
Mhm.
that? You know?
Yeah.
And I get it. Like for some people, they're like, well, the apps are just they make me feel better, or I get attention or what. And I'm like, yeah, but it's all about you. You're not thinking these are
Mhm.
other people involved. If you want
Yeah.
attention, go talk to AI. Apparently it's a great boyfriend or girlfriend now. So, cause that's where we're at in life since I talked to you last.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think then that for everybody, like people that aren't manifesting stuff, can't even say that word, does everything happen for a reason? Do you think?
Yes, but I
Mm.
also think that we could control the mayhem and the chaos if we're a little bit more thoughtful about other
Yeah.
people and how our actions affect others.
Yeah.
So
I'm just.
so yeah, I mean, absolutely. And there are people who need to learn the hard way. They need to get their
Mhm.
heart broken. They have to have hard times. They need to run face first into brick walls 18 times before they get it. You know, and some of it too are also contracts. Like, their soul incarnated here in order to go through some terrible times. And trust me, I'm also a light worker. So like we don't have it easy. We come in, we have things pretty dang rough so that we can walk through the darkness and shed the light and help others out of the darkness. So trust me, like I haven't not sitting here and had a life full of rainbows and unicorns. That being said, I'm also extremely grateful for all of those rough times because not only does it give me clarity and experience, it also allows me to empathize with the people who are going through it and to say, hey, I
Yeah.
promise you there's a light at the end of the tunnel because I've been there.
Mhm.
Or in my case, if I haven't been there, I know someone else who has, and we're going to be
Mhm.
fine. But
Yeah.
we all have to learn our own lessons. And this is something that has been happening and it's kind of been steamrolling the past 10, 15 years. Everyone is just thinking of themselves. And I get it. We do have to think of ourselves a bit, right?
Yeah.
But this is getting to the point where people aren't even thinking of the ramifications of how small or large things would affect other people.
Mhm.
So, for someone to be filthy, filthy rich, somebody else has to be dirt poor.
Yeah.
There's no balance, right?
Mhm.
So, for someone to have extreme control and power in the world, somebody else has to be powerless.
Mhm.
So again, it's finding the balance. And do we live in a perfect world? Absolutely not. Are we definitely in the death throes of coming out of this pendulum swinging very, very far? Yes. And that would be, I think, my warning to other people is if you want things to get better, you have to think about more than just yourself. You have to put some
Mm.
actual thought into your behaviors, your actions, what it is that you're trying to manifest, and how does that fit into the larger picture. And I know that probably sounds like I'm lecturing. Listen, I know some witches who are pure black magic. And like
Mm.
we're friends. We get along very different paths, right? But I'm a very live and let live type of person. As long as you maintain my boundaries, that's fine. I don't always agree with the things that they do, but I also understand why they're doing that. I understand
Yeah.
there's a lot of collective rage right now. And for some people, the only way to let that out is to do some very ugly and dark stuff. And I also understand people like me where it's very hard. And I have my moments where I'm very angry about what's happening in the world. I just let that emotion deal with itself, right? Like I find a
Yeah.
healthy outlet for it. And then I regroup, recenter, and then I just keep spreading the light and doing what I can in the light sense to help those that are engulfed in the darkness.
Yeah, again, makes complete sense to me. Surprisingly, this has made a lot more sense to me than I really thought it would.
We haven't even talked about familiars since you have 2 cats at home.
Go on then.
All right. So are basically familiars are typically like an animal or an insect, depending, or some creature that assists a witch with their work. Now, in the elder days, it used to be, the woman with the black cat, right? And that's
Yeah.
why everyone got afraid of black cats. It was a very superstitious thing, which is absolutely silly, but whatever. So I typically work with crows and ravens. If crows and ravens aren't available, I'll use blackbirds. Specifically for me, working with those is because they're in between the worlds, right? I work in between the worlds most of the times. Instead of me having to astral project or to send a message or to check on someone, I can just send my crows and they will watch, protect, and then they report back to me. So I'll show up somewhere and then all of a sudden there's a whole murder of crows and they're yap, yap, yap. They give me the message and then they take off. So a lot of people who have worked with me have been like, hey, I now have like randomly crows and ravens and blackbirds showing up all over the place. I'm like, that's okay. It's just me checking in, saying I love you, making sure everything's
Well,
good.
I need to tell you, don't send any my way. I don't like birds.
Too bad, so sad.
Birds scare the
So,
shit out of me.
oh, come on. You're
I,
so sweet.
I got attacked by a load of seagulls and an owl once.
Okay, well, the owl is a little scary because those talons, but
Oh, a
seagulls.
seagull! Seagulls! Have you seen the fucking size of the things? They're like fucking pterodactyls.
I should send you a picture of my house. I have like 50 that come visit me daily and they come right up to me and eat food out of my hand. They're very nice.
No, oh no, God, I couldn't think of anything worse.
Oh, I love them. Well, it's okay. They're not for everyone. Maybe you're a cat person and cat people are, you
No,
take on those qualities of the animal.
the cats aren't mine. They're the missus.
Okay, well, they're
I'd be
around you.
more insects and lizards and stuff. Reptiles is my thing.
That makes sense. So cats in particular are spiritual protectors. So I now randomly have like 3 cats that randomly pop up. And sometimes I wake up and I go downstairs and they're on my doorstep. Um, I give them food now and they come around, but I will notice that they show up and they will like chill, like hang out when
Mhm.
usually I'm being protected. And animals typically are pretty drawn to me. A big dog, I'm even a big animal person, period. Dogs as well. Those can be a familiar. I've had people have bats as familiar where bats will show up if they're working or if they need a message. For someone like you, reptiles have had people who tarantulas are their familiars. And they'll have a pet tarantula or whatever. And there's like an unspoken communication. I
Mhm.
have turtles. They're also part of, we talk, like they talk to me. And obviously they're
Mhm.
not verbal, but like I can feel them. If I'm emotional, they will come over and they sit with me and they'll take little naps. If I let them out and run around, they'll come over and like they'll put their little paw on my foot. Like, you okay, mom? So not everyone has one specific familiar that they work with for life.
Mm.
Some people do, and there are a lot that do. Like there's that one familiar and lifelong, it's that. I've had so many at this point, it's morphed and changed throughout my life, but I would just say be open. And any animal that crosses your path or is unexpected or random, just Google spiritual significance of and that animal or insect to name. I have had so many intense messages with that because I've had so many weird things happen. I mean, where I live, like I shouldn't have that much wildlife, but I had a coyote run in front of my house one day, which was bizarre. It literally stopped, looked at me, smiled, and then just took off. And I was like, what? I've had animals, I've had birds that are not native to this area, birds that are not like even seen in my area because I look them up, show up, and you Google that, you get the message, and off they go. And it's wonderful. So don't
I had
forget our.
frogs in my garden not long ago.
Oh, what kind?
I don't know what they were fucking tiny. They were
Little
cool as hell.
babies?
I don't know
You
where
should
the
look
hell they
that up.
came from.
Frog medicine is intense. You should look that up.
Was in bad or
It's not bad. It's never
it's all
bad.
right then.
Just bad and good with everything.
It's a poison frog. It's not good.
I mean, there were witch
But I don't think we
wars.
get them here.
Yeah, there were witch wars in the 60s and 70s. I knew one where they were arguing with a different coven, we'll put it that way. And
Mhm.
literally, she woke up and her entire yard was covered in frogs. I mean, like, we're talking like plague status, and
Mm.
frogs are not native to where she lived. And then they all just disappeared.
I mean, we do get them. We do get them here, but not like not very often. I've not seen many frogs like just kicking about.
Yeah, then I would look it up.
Yeah, it's a funny question. I ask people at this work all the time because like the example I use is owls because you like whilst obviously you get them here, but it's obviously well for a start they're nocturnal. So a question I always ask people just because it's funny is how many owls would you have to see in one day before you started thinking something was going on?
For me, one, because they're not native to my
Exactly.
area, and I have had one pop up more than a few times.
But imagine if, like, in the space of a couple of hours, you saw 3 owls, so like 3 different owls. I'd be like, something going down, something's happening, something's planned. I'd literally like board up windows.
That's not even plotting. That's like spirit telling you there's some heavy wisdom. I'm like, I mean, I think if I saw 3 owls within an hour, I would be like, okay, full disclosure is about to happen worldwide. But interesting you said 3 because yesterday and last week I saw 3 falcons in a circle flying around my house. Falcons, not hawks.
That's interesting.
Falcons.
I mean, to me, that's
But
scary.
a month ago, I mean, what are they going to do to me?
Peck your eyes out.
But a month before, nah, not worried about that. They won't hurt me. About a month before, I am not afraid of like when I was 2, I would pick up snakes and show my dad and be like really excited. Like, look, I've got a friend. Yeah, I'm not.
Fair enough.
Spiders, yes. I have a little one right now on my table while I'm talking, just going about. And I'm like, that's fine. It's a really tiny one. I'm getting better with it though. But so I saw these 3 falcons and, immediately look it up because I'm like, why is there a falcon let alone 3 of them? Because, it's very rare to even see them in a pair, let alone 3. That's weird.
Mm.
But a month before, I had gone on a astral travel trip with a couple people, and Horus, the Egyptian deity Horus, showed up. And everyone else got to go off and do fun stuff, but like Horus and I were like nose to beak for about an hour. So I found it interesting that falcons are now showing up.
Again, it's one of them things just to give Tommy one more mention of that. One of his lovely catchphrases about how he doesn't believe in coincidences anymore. Like, what are the chances of that? It's just weird, isn't it? It's not weird to you, but to me, it's still weird.
I'm not gonna lie, it was a little weird to me when it first happened. I was like, maybe I need to go get a falconry glove. Maybe they're all gonna land, hang out. Then they're gonna want to eat my little birds, and like, no. That's why I train the seagulls and the crows at my house. I have a whole army amassed. I'm gonna send you pictures. You're gonna freak out.
Send me pictures. Send me pictures. That's fine. Just don't send any actual ones to me.
Oh, just one.
No.
Can it just look at you from afar and just cackle at you?
It depends what type of bird. If it's a seagull, no, because they're just irritating.
Okay, not a seagull. It'll be a crow then, or a raven.
I can deal with that.
Okay, those are my preferred.
Like I'll give a bit of respect to the birds that can like learn how to talk and shit, because that's cool. Whereas seagulls are just dickheads and steal your food.
I do love them.
I hate them.
Silly man. Did I help? Did I do something?
Definitely. Yes, definitely. Yeah, I think that's a good place to end. Then we've been going for an hour and a half. Didn't even realize.
You're gonna have to edit just a little bit of this, but that's fine.
Yeah, just a bit. It'll be fine. Right then, JJ, it's been a pleasure as always. Just want to let our listeners know where they can find you if they want to, if they don't already know how to.
JJRose777 across the board. Linktree has my links to everything. Feel free to say hi. You can add me on socials. I do lots of fun memes and obviously I have my YouTube channel. But with always, my dear, it is wonderful to see you and to freak you out slightly.
Not as much as last time, but still a little bit.
Are you warm though?
Yeah. And again, I forgot about it because I'm not freezing in here. It's weird.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thank you. It's cool. Right then, guys, we shall leave it there for this one. So as always, go and follow our Instagram page at the Spooky Shed Podcast. The link in the bio there for all of our socials that I still don't use, but the merch store, Patreon page, YouTube channel, and all that good stuff is all on there. So go and follow them ones because I actually use them. And we shall speak to you next time.
The Spooky Shed Podcast is a Pod Shed production.